Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to do a video talking about Dormammu and his abilities and synergies and kind of breaking that down and talking about, how good is this character going to be? What's he potentially going to be used for in the game? What are his strengths? What are his weaknesses in comparison to some of the other Mystic champions? Because I think like Dormammu and Hood, both being Mystic champions, Mystic is by far the strongest class in the game, so they have a lot to live up to and a lot to compete with if they want to be champions that are ranked up, if they want to be champions that are played. But Dormammu and Hood, I must say, first off guys, they are characters that have incredible animations. They look absolutely amazing. If you haven't already seen the MCOC mod video, definitely check it out, because visually they both look so much fun to play. But in terms of like the practicality of how good they are and what they're going to be used for, that is what today's video is going to be talking about. But if you want to check out the MCOC mod video, a link to that will be in the description below. Now, with Dormammu, we're going to start with talking about the synergies of this character, and there's a very, very interesting synergy that he has with Marlow, which is called Dark Empowerment, and I believe this is the first time we've seen a synergy like this. So the synergy is basically non-robot villain champions have a 20% chance to revive at 10% health when receiving a knockout blow. Now, reading this, it seems like I have two questions straight away. Does this stack with other Dormammus? So, say if you have a 5-star one, a 4-star one, and a 3-star one, and they all have this 20% chance, does it up to a 60% chance? And the second question is, with characters like Phoenix, it specifically implies in the description that it can only be used once in a fight. Now, if I have that 60% chance, can it be used multiple times? Is my Dormammu just going to keep on dying and reviving if I'm in that case where I just keep on taking killing blows and I'm getting lucky with the 60% odds there? So those are two questions which kind of really make me think about how potentially fun and crazy this synergy could be. So I really hope that that is the case, like it stacks on a 3-star, 4-star, and 5-star Dormammu, because there's a lot you could play about with, a lot of fun you could have there. But it's an interesting synergy. It only works on non-robot villains, so that's very, very specific. But I don't think it'll have like any sort of like practical game-breaking use, but it might be fun. And the next synergy at the top, which I kind of skipped over, is the 9% special free damage. Again, special frees, like I barely use them, guys. Like they're not very good on most champions. Better to use the special 2 for time and damage efficiency. Then we have enemies with Dr. Voodoo, crit chance. Always love a good bit of crit rate, guys, so can't knock that. And attack with Doctor Strange. Attack synergies are very, very good. So yeah, that's definitely good to have as well. Now let's move on to his actual abilities. Now we're going to come back to the signature ability because we have information from Trukos on that because it's locked in the MCOC mod video. But the comparison with the MCOC mod video, we have exact values on kind of the abilities, so it makes it a lot more valuable to use the information provided here. So the first off is Dormammu is both bleed and poison immune, which is insane. That is such a good trait for a character to have. Makes him so good for questing, Alliance Quest, also Alliance, not Alliance War, just Alliance Quest and questing in general. That's such a good trait for the character to have. So that's very good. Also useful in some sort of nodes in Alliance War, but from reading the rest of this champion's abilities, I'm not too sure if he's quite right for Alliance War attack, but he might be, guys, he might be. I'll have to have a bit of a think about that as the video goes along. Now, the next thing we have is Dark Energy. So this is a kind of charge-based system that he has. So he gains Dark Energy on, I believe it is 2 occasions, right? So it's each time the opponent's power level goes down. So I believe that's either when he drains power or the opponent uses a special, he will gain more and more Dark Energy. And also whenever he nullifies a buff from the opponent, which I believe is only on his level 1 attack, then he gains 50 Dark Energy. It's a maximum of 100, and when you reach 100 Dark Energy, your next, you get like an imbued trigger. So a lot of your special attacks have an imbued associated with them, and also the combo does as well. So imbued will basically do something extra. If you have that buff, you can consume that to do something extra on one of your attacks. So it's a little bit complicated initially to digest, but basically that's the very simple part of it. Is you'll gain these charges, get imbued, and then you can use that imbued combined with another attack to do something incredibly special. Now, let's talk about the heavy attacks quickly. So, there's this thing where you have to, if there is no soul bond on the target, you will place one on it, and while a soul bond is active, each dark energy charge will also give you soul bond, and you can detonate that soul bond with another heavy attack to deal, well, at the moment on a rank 1, level 1, 5-star Dormammu, it's 3.75% of your attack as direct damage per soul bond charge. So that doesn't really, to me, like reading that, it doesn't really seem that great. Just because you're going to have to use 2 heavy attacks, so that's an opportunity. Whenever you're using heavy attacks generally in the game, especially at endgame with the incredibly aggressive AIs, it's when you've just parried. So instead of using a heavy attack, you're in place of that, you could be using a 5 combo. So to deal that 375% direct damage, granted this is a rank 1 Dormammu, I don't know how it scales, it might go up to something ridiculous, but it would have to go up to probably at least like 700 to 800% to make it like equal to about a 10 combo. So I don't think it's going to be that good because, you know, to use it and then detonate it, it's just it's a lot of work, guys, a lot of heavy attacks, and it just doesn't really seem like it would be worth it in any kind of practical fight, and especially on stun immune nodes, this is going to be completely worthless. Now, there is a very interesting synergy when we come to the bottom of this, looking at the special free, which is if you use a special free where you've got the imbued buff, you will gain an empowered dimensional link, which will cause you to regenerate 20% of the damage done by your soul bond detonation. However, I still don't think that's going to be enough. I still do not think that's going to be enough to actually make it like super great. If we look at that, I think in the 16 seconds, you're probably only going to be able to get off maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe even 3 if you're really lucky. It's a bit hard to tell from the MCOC mod video, but that's only 20% of the damage, and it's all based on your attack. If we're looking maybe at like a rank 5 Dormammu, let's say a 4-star 550 rank 5 Dormammu, he's probably only going to have about 2,000 attack. So if we're looking at, you know, that in the current scale that it is at the moment, that's only going to be, you know, 1,000 and a bit health in terms of the amount you regenerate, because you're only going to regenerate 20% of the damage. So it's not really much at all in comparison to champions like Wolverine, X-23, Ghost Rider, Doctor Strange, Cable as well. They regenerate a lot more health without actually having to go to that level 3 and doing it that way. If the attack with the heavy attack like scales ridiculously as this champion is powered up, then it might be a little bit better, but it just seems like a bit of a waste of time and also just such a weak heal in comparison to what already is in the game. However, that's pretty much some of the negatives from Dormammu, guys. I just don't think this whole heavy attack thing, it just doesn't really seem like it's worth doing on paper. However, you know, when we get into the practicality of playing the champion, it might be a little bit better. But just from the gameplay that I've seen, it seems a little bit too slow. It doesn't really seem like it's going to be worth it to actually use, you know, 2 heavy attacks and level 3 to actually get that healing. It just doesn't seem like it's going to heal you for very much. Now, this is the next thing, which is really cool. One of the strengths about Dormammu is I think he's going to be an amazing power control champion. I think he's going to be so good for controlling the power of the opponent. So when you finish a combo with a medium attack, the target doesn't gain power from this hit, and it will also deplete up to 7.5% of the target's max power. So I think when you do kind of like the average 5 combo, it gives your opponent, I believe, about 20%, 15, I think it's about 15 to 20% of their max power if you're actually hitting them with a 5 combo. So, you know, not getting that power from the last hit and also depleting the opponent's max power by 7.5% by ending that is pretty much going to halve the power gain of your opponent when you're attacking them, which is really good. Means you can just, you know, absolutely sail through a lot of fights without having to worry about really aggressively kind of baiting specials. I think that's going to be very powerful to have. And also it means, you know, providing if you're fighting an enemy in arena, for example, or some sort of enemy that has a special free active, and you're always ending the attack combo with a medium combo, and then you're parrying and going again, they're never going to get to that special free, because whenever you end the combo, they're always going to be slightly off it. So if you parry and then just go for the combo again, and then they're at that level 3, and right on the final medium attack, you drain it away from them, and then just parry and go again, then that seems very good to me. It seems like a way that you could prevent your opponent from ever using a level 3 by playing this character really aggressively, so I really like that. And then the imbued effect for this causes direct damage equal to 400% of the power drain from the opponent by this attack. That isn't a super amount of damage, although it like 400% of the power drained. It's not really that much, guys. It's not really that much. That's probably only about a few hundred damage, I believe. Like Vision's, actually, maybe a little bit more than that. I think Vision's level 2 drains like 2,000, converts 2,000% of the power drained to energy damage, and that's still only about, 1,800 damage, or 2,400 when it successfully lands, depending on the rank of your Vision. So I don't think it's going to be much. Although that looks like a big number, it's the amount of power drain, so it's not going to be a super amount. Special attack 1. I find this one quite interesting, actually. So 100% chance to nullify 100 positive status effects from your opponent. I don't even know any opponents in the game or any characters that can get over 50 positive status effects. Maybe Groot or Old Man Logan in certain scenarios, but apart from that, nobody gets even close to that amount. But the imbued effect is to nullify all positive status effects from your opponent. So yeah, if you ever, fighting somebody more than 100 positive status effects, guys, Dormammu is your counter. Well, magic is as well. You probably want to use magic. If you're fighting somebody with more than 100 positive status effects, if you use magic on a level 3, she's just going to one-shot them. That's going to be great. So, special attack 1, this guy's a nullify machine, but it's all about kind of how, I guess it's really good that he can just instantly, like, cleanse all of the buffs just by using that level 1, but in comparison to, like, the average fight with, like, a Scarlet Witch's nullify, being able to nullify on all of your crits, I think most of the time that might be a little bit more valuable. However, the circumstantial nullify is also very, very good as well, and definitely has its uses in the game. So I really like that. And special attack 2, so special attack 2, I think is going to be pretty much the go-to special attack for using on Dormammu. So there's a 100% chance to power lock, severing the target's flow of power for 5 seconds. So this special attack 2 actually has 4 hit components. And when you're imbued, it drains 15% of the target's max power per hit. So that's basically a 60% power drain, providing that all your hits land on your opponent, which if you're playing the champion, you should be able to land all of the hits quite easily. So I think that's really, really good. Like, it's a 60% power drain in most circumstances where, I imagine by the time you actually build up to the imbued status in kind of the average fight, you're probably going to have your special 2 active, so that's going to time in quite well. So not only is that going to drain 60% of the target's power, but the following 5 seconds, it's going to power lock the target. So I think overall, and then we're back to the special 3 again there. So overall, I don't think that Dormammu has anything that is like ridiculously overpowered. However, I feel like he's going to be great for power control. I don't think, like, in comparison to Vision's ability to control power, I think they both have the very similar effect of being able to completely shut the opponent down and being able to do exactly what you want with the opponent's power, because Vision is very, very strong in terms of power drain. You use the level 2, it saps 100% of the power, and then you're back at that pretty much level 1 again if you've got Vision awakened. So, but this one's got, it's a slightly different power drain. You get it on your medium combos, you get quite a strong one with your special attack too, and you also have the power lock. So I think it's kind of going to be like a different version of Vision. I'd really like to see the heal be a little bit stronger, but it's also a chance as well that, as this champion gets ranked up, as the green values increase, that the amount he regenerates from his detonations increases as well, and also, the attack detonation multiplier goes up a little bit more, and also the power drain and power lock duration might go up a little bit more. So I think, when we kind of need to look at this character as a 5-star rank 3 or a 4-star rank 50 or a 5-star rank 4 to actually see if it's like a super amazing character for power drain, well, he already is. Like, even at rank 1, he's amazing for power drain. So let's talk about the signature ability of Dormammu. So basically, every time a buff expires on his opponent, he has a percentage chance to degen them for a percentage of his attack over X seconds. Now that's very, very vague, but in basic terms, it means more damage when you're fighting opponents that have buffs that you can nullify or that expire over time, and the chance of this ability triggering increases the longer it has been since it last triggered. So this seems kind of like a nice nice icing on the cake signature ability. It doesn't look like it's going to, unless it's like ridiculously powerful in terms of the damage, define the character. But it's not going to be useful in every fight, but I feel like a lot of champions in the game do have some sort of buff that they apply to, so it's going to be useful for a lot of fights, but not every fight. So I guess it's a pretty cool signature ability, but I really kind of am quite a fan of champions that are not completely defined by their signature ability, so it just seems like, kind of from the offset here, that it's going to be a very nice bonus to the champion. However, it is completely impossible to give you an accurate kind of breakdown of the signature ability and how good it is without having the numerical values, which neither MCOC mod or Trukos have at the moment. So for the signature ability, we're going to have to wait and see, basically. In comparison to some of the other Mystic champions, I just don't think he's nowhere near as powerful as Scarlet Witch. He doesn't have the regen, he doesn't have the power lock, the crazy stuff that Scarlet Witch does along with the damage. So I think he's not going to be the #1 Mystic champion. I think in terms of regeneration, from what I can see on this rank 1-1, I think, Doctor Strange is a little bit of a better character, but I think they all have very different uses and circumstances where he might be slightly better. I'm really unsure as to, how good this champion is going to be in the overall spectrum of the game. I think having bleed and poison immunity is going to make him very good for Alliance quest and Alliance questing in general, but I'm not too sure if he's strong enough to go into Alliance War without getting his ass handed to him. I don't know if the regeneration is powerful enough to make him, a sustainable champion for that. But I have a feeling that he potentially might be a really good champion for Alliance War attack. I don't really see anything with Dormammu that would make him an exceptional Alliance War defender. He doesn't really seem to have any abilities that counter, everybody just beating the absolute crap out of him. But in terms of his animations and playstyle, he looks so much fun to play. He looks like a really solid and balanced addition to the game, and I think he's definitely in my kind of tier of characters. I think he's going to come in at amazing. Like, I think he's going to be a really good character. I think he's going to be an amazing character, but I don't think he has anything that just makes him like ridiculously overpowered to place him in kind of the god tier characters. So ladies and gentlemen, that is my thoughts on Dormammu. Again, there's so much to cover and he does seem a little bit overwhelming, a little bit complicated at first, but hopefully kind of explain the character and hopefully you guys understand it. But let me know in the comments below, guys, what do you think of Dormammu? Is he going to be a really good character? Is he going to be overpowered? Where do you think he's going to excel at the game? What interesting uses do you have for the character? Let me know in the comments. Apart from that, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Take care and have an absolutely fantastic day.